Alright, we'll fade to black and come back up. Edit, 3, 2, 1. Now friends, there are all sorts of bullet profiles, in fact far too many for us to go into here today for each one of these different handguns. But you can get 9mm ammunition all the way from 88 grains up to 147 grains. You can get the 40 S&W ammunition all the way from 135 grains up to around 200 grains or so for the bullet. And you can get the 45 ACP standard ammunition. Now, we're not talking about specialty ammunition, we're talking about what's readily available. 45 ACP ammunition all the way from 185 grains up to 230 grains. And each one will have a number of different points in between. Now, everyone is striving, all the ammunition companies for that matter, are striving for the most effective bullets. And some do certain jobs better than others. If we're out here target shooting, we're shooting steel targets or shooting paper for that matter, for small groups or in informal or formal for that matter target competition such as IPSC or USPSA or action shooting, something like that, we're better off to go with a hardball or full metal jacket bullet or something similar, semi-wad cutter but a solid bullet. If we're hunting game or we have needs for our handgun for home defense, well, you're much better off with some sort of jacketed hollow point design because the bullets are really designed to do different things. Now then, in the 9mm, you have, of course, all the way from an extremely fast 88 grain bullet up to a slower 147 grain bullet. To give you an idea of just where the 9mm stands, the 9mm is typically between the power of a 38 Special and a 357. It's sort of between the two because all three, the 38, 9mm, and 357, are shooting essentially the same size bullet. The 355 thousandths of an inch 9mm is very close to the 357 thousandths of an inch, and I know I've got a lot of figures going here, of the 38 Special and the 357 Magnum. You know, a lot of the calibers were named, I think, more for recognition by gun owners than for the actual sizes that they are. A 38 is in fact not a 38. The bullet size is 357 thousandths. A 9mm, of course, is only 2 thousandths away at 355 thousandths. Just like a 44 is not a 44, it's actually a 43. A 41 is in fact a real 41, and of course the 40 S&W is actually 400 thousandths in actual measurement. Anyway, back to the drawing board, so to speak. The typical velocities go from, with some of the 9mm ammunition, the hottest ammunition may run over 1,300 or so feet per second, whereas at the heaviest loading would be the 147 grain bullet, moving at about 900 or 950 feet per second. So that is very much in comparison to the 180 grain bullet out of the 40 S&W. It also will run about 900, 950 feet per second. So it does about the same velocity as the 9mm with 147 grain bullet. The 40 S&W does about the same velocity with the 180 grain bullet. So you have a bigger diameter, 400 thousandths versus 355, and a heavier bullet at the same velocity. All right, the 45 ACP is going to run remember that 230 grain bullet, and and probably some of us need to get a notepad to keep notes on just all these figures, but the 185 or so grain loading in the 45 ACP will run about 900, 950 or so in the standard available loadings for the 45 ACP. It's just a bigger bullet, 451 thousandths versus 400 thousandths in the 40 S&W. So if this is starting to run together, well, believe it, I do have a point here. Let me make one more point. The specialty ammunition that's now available, shall we say plus P in the 9mm, is going to run a 115 grain bullet about 1,200 or so feet per second. In the case of the Corbon, it runs over 1,300. Of course, that probably qualifies as plus P plus. as compared to the 155 grain bullet in the 40 S&W, moving along at about 1150, 1175. So we have similar velocities from the 115 9mm plus P to the higher powered 40 S&W 155 grain bullet. Okay, there's more. The 45 ACP with the plus P loading with the 185 grain bullet, Remington makes a loading that gets up around 1100 feet per second. So again, in the high performance loadings of these guns, it's just you have a little bigger bullet in each step up in caliber going about the same velocity. Now then, yes, I'm sure this is beginning to run together for those new shooters, and there's a reason for it. If it sounds confusing, that's because it is. You know, in effectiveness for defensive purposes or anything else, there's not as much difference in the three guns as some people might think. Or looking at the three bullets there, there's not as much difference actually in the effectiveness of all three calibers as we might think. In muzzle energy for the standard loadings, there's not a lot of difference at all. They're both, or all three, hovering around the 350 or so foot-pounds of muzzle energy. And I tell you what, friends, it all comes down to this. We're going to shoot these guns in just a minute and let you see how they stack up as far as time goes. Now then, for none of these guns are what I would class as a big game or bigger game handgun. None of the semi-automatic pistol cartridges that we're looking at today would really qualify for use on game above varmint size. And I know that's going to hurt some people's feelings, but heck, I've tried them all. And on anything over a varmint size animal, they're really not that effective. Now, against adversaries, say such as a policeman would use one of these guns for, or the homeowner in home defense, it just depends on which gun and which caliber you like. The 9mm typically carry a lot more rounds in the magazine, but really it's not the rounds in the magazine that make the difference, it's the number of hits in the right location. You know, another point I want to make, any of these guns or semi-automatic pistol calibers, shot placement is absolutely essential, because these, as compared say to a rifle cartridge, even a 30-30, or let's drop back to a 44 Magnum or even to a 357 Magnum, any of these three cartridges are considerably behind what's available in even the 357 Magnum. Now some of them, especially the Corbon type loadings, are getting closer, but still they're behind the Magnum loadings that are available for revolvers. So it's just going to boil down. The 45 ACP is a more practical, shall we say, game gun as far as shooting sports. The big 45 caliber bullet with more weight is certainly going to have more momentum than either the 40 caliber lighter bullet or certainly the 9mm. It's going to knock those steel plates and things over with more authority. But as far as actual results of these three calibers on the street, there's not nearly as much difference as you'd think. In the full metal jacket chamberings, the 45 does hold a lead as far as effectiveness for military applications, but we're really not concerned with military applications, us as the average citizen. We're concerned about what is our gun going to do in our hands and whatever our situation is to use it. So people have been arguing about calibers and so forth for years, but in the best loadings available, in any one of the three, the 9mm, the 40, the 45, there's just not a whole heck of a lot of difference on effectiveness as far as the results the gun gets. So really, you ought to take a look at what the particular firearm you're going to use. First, decide on a gun you like. Find a gun that's easy for your hand to grasp, easy for you to manipulate, and one that is just fun for you. So it's really hard to recommend any of the semi-automatic pistol calibers over the others, because in actual results, certainly in actual combat, Our good friend Evan Marshall has compiled a fabulous list of actual shooting records, so there's really not nearly as much difference as a lot of people would think just by looking at the cartridges. And of course all the semi-automatic cartridges, with the exception of the 10 millimeter, and I'm not going to confuse the issue by talking about the 10, we don't have one here today. It is a much more powerful semi-automatic pistol cartridge. In fact, all three of these cartridges are very serviceable, very usable, and certainly the gun shop commandos have no business putting down someone who wants a 9 millimeter that they're going to learn to shoot. Say, well, I wouldn't have a 9, I'm going to have a 45 because that's what I've always had. Well, that won't hold up. It's just what you shoot well, what functions well for you, and whatever you can hit your target well. None of these guns are worth anything if you don't hit your target, and if you don't hit or you don't have good shot placement on your target, whatever caliber it is, well, you've done nothing. You just made a loud noise. So this is what we need to stress again, hitting our target. Well, let's shoot these three guns and let you see what they look like in recoil, and we're going to do a little timing test here in just a moment that I think will be interesting. So heck, you be the judge, but don't let anybody fault you for wanting one handgun caliber say over another. That's just your choice, and in fact all three of these calibers are useful and viable handgun calibers for the semi-automatic pistol. All right, edit, 3, 2, 1. Now friends, what we're going to do, I have the Pro Timer on here. So really, all of these guns, the semi-automatic pistols, will shoot comparable groups out at about 25 yards. The Service 45, the 40 Smith & Wesson, and the 9mm Walther, in this particular case, will both shoot into a 3-inch circle at 25 yards on demand. So to give you an idea of comparison, we're going to have a control here. We got our great Wesson 357 Magnum, and we're going to shoot a timed group on our close range target here for 5 shots, including my reaction time. And let's see in comparison how the recoil or of any one of these particular cartridges affects our time, and for that matter our accuracy on our target. So hearing protection is definitely in, so this is going to be loud. And of course we're shooting full charge 125 grain Federals in our 357 Magnum, high powered ammunition. In fact, with more power than any of the current loadings that we have here today for these other three semi-automatic handguns. So let's punch our timer, like so. Check. Timer on. And those of you who know how these things work, this won't be any surprise. For those of you who don't understand the timer, it will start me with a horn. I will react, shoot 5 times, and it will tell us how quickly we shot all those shots. Okay, here we go. All right, we'll start our timer, and let's get underway. Well, 1.34 seconds. In fact, that's a really tight group. We'll look at that in just a second. So our control group, we'll write it here. 1.34 seconds for 5 shots with a .357 Magnum. And you can tell for 5 shots, that's a small group. All right, edit, 3, 2, 1. Friends, my goodness, for 5 shots in 1.34 seconds, that's a group of about 1.5 inches, typical of the great Wesson fixed barrel revolvers that we've been shooting. Let's tape our group so we'll know where our next round of hits goes. All right, let's take our P38, and we have a loaded magazine here. We're going to do the same drill. We're going to fire 5 shots. And our revolver timer is our control, so we know what the revolver is going to do. And let's see what the 9mm P38, we're going to start with the hammer down, safety off position. We're going to, of course, load the gun first and drop the hammer, safe direction there. All right, let's see what this looks like with our P38 shooting standard 9mm full metal jacket ammunition. See what it does. Start button. All right, and you saw me drop that hammer, put that safety on the very first thing. We'll drop that hammer. Well, now that's pretty quick. 1.27 seconds, and our group here, my goodness, is about the same size as on our revolver. So again, we're shooting less cartridge. We're not shooting as powerful a cartridge, but 1.27 seconds. So let's put that right here. For 5 shots, that's pretty good. And of course, this gun is very controllable. And one of the things we want you folks to do is watch the recoil, or in fact, for that matter, lack of recoil in each caliber that we're shooting. So that's not too bad, actually. P38s are nice guns if you like double action semi-automatic 9mm. They're pretty expensive now. Prices on those Walthers, of course, Walthers are not cheap anyway. All right, let's take our 180 grain bullet filled magazine on our 40 S&W. Same drill. We're going to load the gun, pull that slide back. All right, safety off, hammer in down position, trigger forward, punch our timer. Well, lo and behold, and again, I dropped that hammer, put that safety on. Decock's just automatic with me to do that. So let's see, 1.15 seconds. Now our group's a little bigger. We went from, say, a little over 1 inch or so there with the Walther, but 5 shots there. That's about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. 1.15 seconds. Well, that's interesting. Heck, I didn't know how long it was going to take either. All right, now then, let's take our Colt. In fact, I better tape the target first before I do anything else. Again, friends, I can't stress the importance of masking tape enough. If you go down to the range and you're shooting on paper, you want to know where you shot, take you some masking tape to tape the holes. All right, we'll take our 45 ACP Colt, put the magazine in. We're shooting the 230 grain standard factory loading bullet. Pull that slide all the way back, put the safety on. Now then, same drill. Push our start button. Let's see how long 5 shots with the Colt 45 takes. Well, and I of course put the safety on before anything else. Well, 1.18 seconds. Our group is a little bigger. We have 3 in one hole here and one here, one here. Still within a couple of inches, so .18. All right. Oops, well, I hadn't stopped it. All right, bring me back in about right here. Okay, edit. 3, 2, 1. Now then, friends, I don't know if we've learned anything or not. I certainly have. At least I've become even more confused, whatever. Our 9mm went 1.27 seconds for 5 shots, about as fast as I could shoot that gun today out of our Walther. With a standard loading, the 40 Smith & Wesson. 5 shots, 1.15 seconds. The 45 ACP out of our Colt went 1.18 seconds. And of course, our full charge 357 Magnum went 1.34 seconds, all for 5 shots. Now then, of course, 357 has more power, a little more recoil than any of the other 3 calibers. But again, it's just what gun you like, what you shoot well. As far as effectiveness on any semi-automatic handgun caliber, it's really going to boil down on where you can put those bullets. In all 3 calibers, your best 9mm loading for the average person that's available will be your 115 grain jacketed hollow points. In some cases you can find the Plus P 115 grain jacketed hollow points. Now this is strictly my recommendation for home defense. For the 40 Smith & Wesson, my own personal recommendation is the 135 grain Corbin jacketed hollow point. Another good cartridge is the 155 grain Winchester silver tip. The Federal Hydra-Shock, 180 grain Hydra-Shock looks awfully good. And the 45 ACP, I'd recommend the 230 grain Hydra-Shock. This is my own recommendation, of course. The Remington Plus P 185 grain bullet, or the Corbin 185 grain bullet, moving at about 1,000 or 1,100 feet per second, depending on the gun. And of course, my own personal choice, I prefer the 357 to any of the above, but that's just my own preference. It's whatever you like and whatever you shoot well is what's most important. In fact, being able to shoot well is really more important than whichever caliber handgun you have. All right, friends, let's do one last hour. Here we go. Edit. 3, 2, 1. All right, friends, one more time. Watch. We're going to shoot these guns again. Watch them in recoil in my hands and see what you think. None of them are objectionable to me, but that's really not my decision to make. It's yours. So I know I'm going to make some people mad by this, but really your ability to shoot a gun, your accuracy and comfort with the gun is so much more important than the caliber you choose, because there are effective loadings in all three of these calibers. So let's watch this Walther P38, in my hands anyway. You can get a look at it. Here we go. Alright. Of course, it's told us it's ready to be reloaded. Here's our 40 S&W. Compare this against what we just did. Well, we ran out of bullets. 2 shots is probably enough anyway. We've got a couple left here in our Colt. Well, like I said, not a whole heck of a lot of difference in any of the three. So, again, friends, you pays your money, you all right. Edit. 3, 2, 1. Well, friends, the whole point of what we've done here today is we've tried to show you that, in fact, the semi-automatic pistols are useful for defensive purposes. If that's what you like, well, by all means, that's what you ought to get. There's not nearly as much difference in any of these three calibers we've looked at as a lot of people would think. The main difference is in momentum between the larger 45 caliber bullets versus the lighter 9mm bullets. But as far as performance on game, I don't recommend any of them for anything over varmints, and you better have good shots when you do that. But they are good, solid, effective defensive guns, and certainly useful for the citizen as well as for the police. So you pays your money, you takes your choice. The whole point of this is you need to concentrate on learning to shoot and manipulate your gun properly, more so than on what kind or what caliber gun you get. You need to find a gun that you're comfortable with, that you like to shoot, that you can handle well, that you're familiar with, and more than anything else, be able to hit that target where you aim. That's the most important thing. Edit. 3, 2, 1. Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this week's shooting show as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you. And remember, life is full of long shots. But you know, if your aim is true and you're willing to work hard, there's not much you can't accomplish. Say just about now. See you on next week's shooting show.
Don't stutter. Should we have a glass of wine?
It doesn't matter. We're going to wait for the shoot. People they used to seeing me and mine anyway. So, Casey Scarborough, right? Scarborough. All right. And when I'm going to ask you some questions in a few minutes, and just speak up, okay? All right. You see all three of us, don't you, Ian?
Yes, sir.
Great, okay. Edit. 3, 2, 1. Well, hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shooting Show. We're so glad to be with you this week, and we have a special treat for you folks. We're out here on one of the finest sporting clays ranges I think certainly in our part of the country. And this is the shootout in Halton, Louisiana. We have our good friend Travis Boyder. Did I say that right, Travis?
Oh, you did.
And friends, we have a very fine shooter in here amongst us. This is Miss Casey Scarborough. Is that right, Casey?
Yes, sir.
And I tell you what, friends, we've heard a lot of good things about Casey's ability to shoot a shotgun. In fact, I think she'll probably humble a lot of men. Is that right?
That is true.
Well, Casey, we're going to let you open our shooting show today, and we're going to let you just shoot that old shotgun and open our program for us, okay? All right, edit. Good, let me get it.
Okay. You remember where we were at?
Yes, sir.
How far about that far left where you were at? You had to get it on it. You were underneath it. Good hit.
Pull.
Hey, come right here. Just split the difference.
Pull. Pull.
High house.
Another high house? All right.
Pull.
All right, where's the next one going to come from?
I think.
You want another high house or a low house?
Just a high half.
It's gonna come out this snow here.
Okay.
Pull.
Where's it coming from? Another high house? What you want, low house?
High half.
High house, all right.
Pull.
Think so? Well, okay, we'll go back the way you think.
Kate, can we get her to come right over here and shoot?
You're saying that you were holding up.
Where I can get behind her. Let me get behind her so. Whenever.
You're going to do one out of the...
Pull. Pull.
Good swing.
One more half.
All right.
Go ahead and do that again. You had a good swing on the right to left.
Same thing.
Pull. Pull.
Good shooting.
Edit. 3, 2, 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at this in really a tremendous range here. They have all sorts of different shooting events that are possible, but let me introduce you to Casey. This is Casey Scarborough, and Casey, tell us something. How old are you?
I'm 11 years old.
She's 11 years old, and how long you been shooting a shotgun, Casey?
Maybe just more than 1 year.
Just more than 1 year. And folks, I don't know if you can see or not, but Casey can break a clay bird in just about a minute. I mean, she is really an accomplished shooter for 11. Can I see your gun, Casey?
Sir.
You're shooting and we definitely have an unloaded Beretta here, because as you folks well know, that's the only way we're going to handle guns, certainly when we're standing around talking. Now, is this your personal gun?
No, sir.
This is not, but so you borrowed this gun and you can shoot it a whole lot better than I can. Well, Travis, tell us a little bit about your program out here, on what you folks, tell us about your range and what you folks have to offer.
Well, basically what we have is we try to make a facility to where we could give you any kind of shooting, archery, or that you wanted to do. Everything from shotguns to rifles to handguns, silhouette, long-range rifle, out to 415 yards. Just anything that your heart desires, and we try to accomplish as much as we can.
Well, over here, and we're going to show you folks that in just a few minutes, they have a long covered area to shoot handguns and rifles for silhouette and for bullseye. And I tell you what, it's a most impressive facility. Well, you have, what, 300 plus acres here?
There's about 302 acres total. Right now we're using 150, and we don't know what we might do with the rest.
Well, I tell you, I was so impressed with the sporting clays path, I guess is what you properly said.
Trail, yeah.
The trail earlier. And of course they changed. Now this is yours truly. I'd like to think I can halfway shoot a handgun, but this sporting clays is new to me. And I like Kurt Vickers told me the other day, he said, Johnny, be prepared to be humbled, and yes it is. I took a few shots over there, I missed a lot, that's right.
If you come out and hit 50% your first time, you've had a good day.
So, well, now you folks have been here how long? This is your second year?
Right at the second year, yeah.
And of course the Chevy Truck Team Challenge is going to be here when?
The region will be here September the 11th and 12th.
So, and of course, you're open to if people have a special event. Let's say that a company wants to stage say a weekend shoot, say a large manufacturing company with it for employees.
We do have employee appreciation days. We'll put programs together for them to shoot. We'll cook for them. We'll work fundraisers for nonprofit organizations, MS, or anything they want to do. Just give us a call and we'll work something out.
Well, one of the most important things, Travis and I were talking earlier, what we as shooters need to do, we need to let the non-shooting public know that it is really fun. It is a good family entertainment that you can go out and do. Heck, you wouldn't spend any more out here than you would, say, taking the kids to a movie and maybe a meal. It's not going to really cost you any more, sometimes less.
You won't spend as much as you do on candy at a movie.
Okay.
I promise you that.
But this is certainly a great facility. We're going to be walking through, taking a look at some of the things that they have to offer in just a minute. Hit it. Good, good. Okay, so you're done good. Okay. Ready? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Edit. 3, 2, 1. Now, Travis, certainly as an accomplished skeet shooter, I've been watching you here. I know this is not the first time
we'll question some of the accomplishments.
Ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this is not the first time this man's picked up a shotgun. So tell us, for you know, there's a lot of interest out there, tell us about skeet shooting. Give us a little background on it, how you go about it.
Well, skeet shooting, it's comprised of 25 total shots. You'll shoot at 8 different stations. These concrete pads around this field will show you where the stations are. And you're going to shoot anywhere from 2 to 4 birds at each station. You'll have one that comes out of the high house, one that comes out of the low house. And as you progress around these stations, they get harder and harder, and then they'll start to decrease on the how hard they are.
Now, what kind of gun, for say someone that has never shot skeet, what do they need to come out here with? What kind of equipment?
Skeet, you can shoot it with anything from your standard pump shotguns up to $10,000 over and unders. You can truly shoot it with anything.
Would you say that the shooter is more important than the equipment?
Yes. Yes.
All right, well,
And
you're going to do a little shooting. What are you going to do for us here?
Well, I'm going to show you how the bird will come out of this high house behind me. We're going to throw a single out of there. We're going to throw a single out of the low house crossing, and then we're going to throw a true pair.
Hit it. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay, what I'm fixing to do now is I'm going to call pull, which our trap boy here has got a remote control, and he'll pull the bird for me. Each time I say pull, he'll pull it again. Pull! Now we're going to shoot one out of the low house. It'll be coming toward me and crossing. Pull! Now is when we have the fun part for the beginners, because they tend to have a slower reaction time. We're going to have 2 birds coming at the same time from the opposite direction. Pull! And that's basically how the game works.
All right, edit. 3, 2, 1. And of course, we see Travis has, of course, it is hot out here today and humid. He has gone into, changed into a, shall we say, a more comfortable outfit.
Yes, yes.
And we would like to emphasize again, as those folks at home remember, we're at certainly support comfortable shooting clothing, whatever it requires.
Right.
So, sir, I'm only jealous that I can't have some shorts on too, because it's hot out here. Well, Travis, tell me something. Who's this young lady standing next to you? Now, let's find out.
Well, this is my lovely wife, Patty, and she supported me a long time in a lot of the shooting that I've done.
Well, but of course now, Patty's got her own gun. Is that right?
Well, that's true.
Well, what's she going to show us today?
Today I'm going to shoot this Browning 22. It's got a Tasco Pro Point scope on it, which is the kind with the little red dot.
Now that is, tell us what that gun, you say it's a Browning. Now this is for a bullseye and for silhouette shooting, is that right?
What I primarily use it for is the silhouettes, like we'll show you just in a minute. And it's just fun to shoot because it has very little recoil, and it's all, the ammunition's also real cheap, so you can come out here and shoot a whole bunch for not very much money.
Well, we're certainly encouraging all the ladies. Now, how did you get into shooting, Patty?
Well, actually, one of our first dates was when Travis took me out to the woods and showed me how to shoot a gun. And then I've just spent a lot of time with him out here, and also our children come and shoot. And it's something that we can do together. And when I started going to the tournaments with Travis, and I'd see women shooting in the tournaments and realize that anybody can do it, and some of the women shoot as well as or better than some of the men. So we're planning on doing some competition this year with the ladies team also.
Well, you have a good number of women that come out here, don't you?
Quite a few. It's a good place. You know, so many women now are starting to carry guns, and their husband will buy them a gun and bring it home and say, okay, carry this in your car from now on, and never take them out and teach them how to shoot it. And this is a good place for women that want to carry a gun but aren't comfortable to come out here and learn all the safety rules and actually learn how to use it.
Well, if someone, could they get some help? Say some lady bought a gun and came out here, could they get a little help in learning to how the gun functions here at the shootout?
Sure, there's a lot of instructors out here that would help them, and if they don't feel comfortable with another man, you know, with a man teaching them about it, they can always ask for one of the ladies that are more experienced and be glad to help them, because we can kind of talk in ladies' language instead of talking about a particular part that I may not know the name of it, that little thing right there.
Well, in fact, Travis, you folks tell us where the shootout is located, because I'm sure that some of our folks from other areas will want to come by and visit you folks. So tell us how to get here.
We're about 8 miles east of Louisiana Downs on Highway 80. If you're coming down I-20, it'll be the first exit after Louisiana Downs. Take that exit north to Highway 80. Take a right on Highway 80, go 1.5 miles. You'll see the big sign.
All right, because I'm sure, of course, we have viewers all over the country, but even if someone is coming through here, well, you folks would be very pleased for them to stop and shoot with you, wouldn't you?
Oh, I sure would. And if they need some information, they can call us at 318-949-9146.
All right, give us that number one more time.
318-949-9146.
Bear with me. And 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to do a little target practice today with these silhouettes in my 22. Hopefully I can hit a few today.
we're in. Now I see the red light. Edit, 3, 2, 1. Now friends, of course you can see they have such a variety of things. We have turkeys out here. They have a 100-meter silhouette match. Is that correct, Patty?
Yes.
Okay, and of course just a complete facility. Then you have another long-range rifle silhouette location across the berm here. And of course one thing that these folks are so concerned with is safety of the shooters, and to my knowledge they've never had any accident or trouble because they're so concerned with safety. Again, we're going to be mentioning again the location of the shootout. Yes, we do have a little wind here today, but I'm going to take this Browning, and this is the Buckmark 22 long rifle. Very nice gun, and of course has the Tasco Pro Point. And this is, let's just see what it looks like on these little steel targets here. Let's see if I can hit one or two of them. Of course, to load this particular gun, this is, what's the barrel length on this, Patty? Well, it's long.
I'm not sure.
It's long. We know that, it's long. So, anyway, we'll pull the slide back here and load us around, and let's see if I can hit one or two of these things. All right, we'll find out in a moment. Starting on the left. Oh. Dot got away from me. Friends, I know I put my safety on. That one's welded in place. The dot got away from me.
I accuse the boys of gluing them to the
That's
rails
what they did.
sometimes.
I know that these these young men that work these traps, I know. Let's see if that one will fall. That's ridiculous. Well, they let it go. Whatever they had a magnet on this off. But very nice. This Browning. In fact, how many do we have in our magazine on this gun?
10.
10?
Was
10 in the magazine. We'll be out. Let me set this.
I hope.
Yeah, I was doing good till I lost the dot. The dot. Now, friends, that first magazine in this Browning Buckmark was so much fun. I think I'll just do it again. Let's go for that one. Way out. We're going to load our gun like so, and we'll. Okay. Well, it went. Okay. And I ran out of bullets. Great fun.
Can't believe you get
Major
married,
first
Liz.
class.
No, I'm a petty officer, second class.
All right, well, tell us all that. All right, edit. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Travis.
This is Rhonda Lackabee, and she's one of our customers, and she has just recently got involved in a lot of the shooting sports, and I think she's got the bug big time.
Well, Rhonda, tell us, now you're just a little more than an average shooter. What, were in the Marine Corps?
No, I'm a Navy corpsman, petty officer, second class. I'm assigned to a Marine combat unit. I'm their doc. And I go out and I do everything they do. If they get hurt, I take care of them.
Now, you're also a fire person.
I'm a firefighter paramedic with Shreveport Fire Department. And there's some gentlemen there that shoot on the sheriff's SWAT team. And between them and the Marines, I kind of got hooked big time.
Well, tell us about your gun there, please.
I have an AR-15. It's set up competition. It's got a twist 9 barrel, 24-inch with a compensator on the end. And that means the fire goes to the side instead of out front. And it's almost like the same rifle that the Marines shoot, except their barrel's shorter.
Well, we're certainly glad to meet you and come out here at this terrific facility that Travis and the good folks here at the Shootout have. And we're going to photograph you shooting your gun a little.
Okay. The sights are probably way off. This brand new rifle.
Get this thing focused.
Of course, Travis is doing a little spotting for Rhonda here. She's making adjustments. Okay. Here's the, now then, edit. Of course, they have the pond station here for the sporting clays. And I tell you what, friends, this is so much fun. It is challenging, but it is fun. Him start lying about.
And it'd be lying.
All right, we're on. All right, edit 3, 2, 1. Now, you know, friends, shooting at a hay bale is with a target on it is not quite the same thing. Am I correct on this, Noble?
You're right.
Well, so what we need to do, we have our official arrow shooter of the day, our official bow hunter, master bow hunter, might I add, Mr. George Smokey up here in the tree, and we have some targets over here on the ground. Now, Noble, how long have you been hunting with a bow?
Oh, about, I'd say a couple of years, really.
Well, do you find, of course, now, similar to a firearm, you got to work on your marksmanship, but now bow hunting can really make you a better gun hunter, am I correct?
Yes, I would say that.
Because you got to get out there, you got to stalk the deer. One, you don't have the ranges that you have with a firearm, and this is something a little bit new to me, and you know, we need to, here on the shooting show, we need to start covering a little bit more of things like this, because a lot of gun hunters are in fact bow hunters too, and it can give you a chance to really sharpen your skills for the gun seasons coming up. So what we're going to do, we have George up here in a climbing tree stand, and you know, friends, this is really important. It's one thing, and of course you saw us a little while ago, we shot the hay bale, and that's one thing, but when you get off the ground up here and you start shooting at angles from around them tree limbs, around the backside of the tree or whatever else, it changes perspective, huh?
That's right. Great deal.
Well, and we're going to give an example here of how if you owe it to the game animal to go out there and try and become the best hunter, or certainly as proficient with your bow as possible. I mean, none of us want to see a game animal that will be hit and injured and run off. And really, we have these balloons here, and tell you the truth, your vital area on a deer, the heart-lung area, is really not about the size of those balloons there, isn't it?
About that size, that's right.
So let's put on a little demonstration here of ways that you can practice for your bow hunting. Edit. See that? Ain't nothing to it.
Very good there, no?
How you like being a TV star so far, no? Now then, friends, you see George here in the tree. He's in his hunting clothes because this is what he's going to be out in the woods with typically. He's wearing the same thing. He's got some arrows there on his bow that it's just like he's going through the motions for the real thing, because you can go out in a t-shirt and blue jeans and practice all day on a target, but it means a lot of, or it makes a lot of difference when you're actually up in the tree and in the stand and certainly shooting down an angle. So let's see what he's going to do here. Edit. All right, George, let's see. All right, go ahead and pull your bow back like you're going to get it. Now hold up. Careful aim. Not yet, but we're getting there. Hold up. That looks pretty good, actually.
All right.
All right, go ahead. Edit. Now see. Oh, okay. We had a little miss there. Edit 3.
Can I go down yonder and get that balloon, move it?
The balloon blew around right by the bottom for us. You ready to shoot?
Yeah. Now friends, that's good practice. You can see what he's doing. And of course we got another balloon, so go ahead and shoot that next one there, George.
I need another arrow.
Edit. All right, hold up just. Oh. You know, George, we ought to chronograph one of them arrows and see how fast it goes, too.
They do that. This bow here won't shoot too fast. They got the bow to shoot pretty doggone quick. This is just average.
Well, they run a couple hundred feet a second, don't they?
I thought we were faster.
I don't know. I don't know.
I really don't know either.
See this
Is
eye?
that far enough out?
It's far enough out, I think if I could hit it.
That sounds like me and my guns. That's the thing. Target ain't too far. It's just me hitting it. We can run forward. Here we go. Edit. 3, 2, 1. All right. And friends, I cannot stress the importance of practice. Again, if you're out there going to hunt a game animal, it makes it a whole lot easier if you know what to expect by actually getting up in your stand or something similar to what you're going to hunt in, and take a few shots at some targets and just see how easy it is. And of course, when hunting season comes, it'll be so much better for you and the game animal both. And we're out. All right, George. Remember that spot right there. Edit. Got our sticks here, just like big time TV. All right, edit. 3, 2, 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice I'm not wearing hearing protection, or in fact, for this minute, eye protection, because we're going to do something a little different on the program today. A lot of our people out there who happen to be gun hunters, also the first part of the season, are also bow hunters, and I think this is a great way to sharpen your skills. Certainly if you're going out there and become a better woodsman or someone who's better at stalking or trying to hunt a game animal, bow hunting is definitely well, I'd call it an expert's field, really, because I would be in the very bottom rung of the ladder myself, but it's something that a lot of you do have some interest in. So we have George here, and he's got a compound bow. And George, tell us a little bit about the bow here. What kind is it, and what kind of arrows we're going to shoot here?
Well, it's just a PSE, kind of a cheaper version bow, but it shoots all right for somebody just starting, you know.
Well, I see we have some sights here. Edit. 3. Oop. Let me home in on these sights there, George. Hold them up there. Edit. All right, we got the sights. Here we go. Edit. 3, 2, 1. Now, friends, you can see these sights here. In fact, what you have is you got them for different ranges. Is that right, George?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have them set, of course, since you've got a much more pronounced trajectory than you would with a rifle bullet. These arrows have sort of a looping trajectory, and I think that your estimation of range would be extremely important. In fact, I think that's one thing that bow hunting can do to improve your rifle shooting, is it really makes you aware of distances, because this is really critical in bow hunting. And of course, today we just have some target arrows we're going to shoot here at the base of hay bale, but it's really amazing what can be done with a good bow and a good arrow and a little bit of skill. Some of those things that the folks used to do back there in Europe and England, that thing about splitting the arrow on a man's head, there was actually something to that. There were people that were actually good enough with these things to do it. As I heard Art Alpin say at an earlier time, the English especially started little kids off with bows, and one reason the king would have the county fairs or the local fairs was to encourage marksmanship, because the common people out there walking around were a good part of the Army, if my understanding is correct, and they really had to start to become real proficient with the longbow. You had to start at a very young age. It took constant practice. Well, we're considerably better off with these compound bows. One, you have a power advantage, and of course once you get past that first initial pull, then it becomes a little easier.
You can hold it.
You can hold it back a whole lot easier and wait for that shot. It'll be a whole heck of a lot easier than holding a longbow with 100 and no telling how many pounds pressure. But there is really something to this, and it is a great skill and a great sport. And from time to time, we're going to be doing some more things on the shooting show about things like this. So, heck, George, let's shoot a few arrows here. We got our intended hay bale out here with a paper target on it. So let's take a look at it. All right, hold up. We're out. All right, go ahead, George. All right, hold up. Did it?
Went all the way through it.
Bullseye.
No, it went over.
All right, edit. Wait. And of course, what we see happen here, friends, the arrow literally went all the way through the target and the hay bale there we have, but still, that's going to be a pretty good shot there. It's definitely going to be within the vital zone of. Oh, we're talking about deer. That's for the season that's open here, bow hunting for deer. And I think you'll see that is definitely within a vital zone. All right, go ahead, Joe. All right. And let's take a look at our third shot here. And actually, it's a pretty good group, and certainly all within the vital areas of a game animal. All right. Okay. I'm getting there, Bill. I am getting there. Edit 3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, and welcome again to this week's shooting show. We're so glad to have you. We're hearing from so many new people around the country, and believe me, we appreciate every last one of you who watch our program. We are getting our Bullet Express catalogs out. We've had a lot of orders from people on things, and we do appreciate that, because everything you buy from us helps our project here on the Shooting Show. We're going to be introducing you to some of the people that are working with us, that some of you will be talking to on the telephone, and our advertising man, Frank Baggett, is working with a number of companies now around the country. We're really so pleased just to be here. So, you know, as I like to say, we've got a great show for you today. Let's open another shooting show.
Yeah, just for fun.
All right, edit 3, 2, 1. Well, friends, needless to say, I am impressed with this Sigma series and 40 S&W. Our accuracy, as we talked about earlier, we put 5 shots into 1 1/4 inches at 25 yards. I was most impressed. That's the most accurate 40 I've ever seen. I think that a lot of police officers are really going to like this gun. A lot of homeowners that are maybe going from a revolver to a semi-automatic, I think this would be a much better choice than, for that matter, in my opinion, than any of the double-action semi-automatics, because it's so easy to get confused or fouled up with a gun that you're not going to really work with daily. And there have been accidents with the double-action semi-automatics with some pretty darn professional people, so you really have to work it at their function and their mechanisms harder. This, you can remember, you never put your finger on that trigger till you're ready to shoot the gun. And this Sigma series, don't put your finger on the trigger, gun won't go off. Very, very important. And because it is a semi-automatic, it's still going to require a little more work than, say, if you were shooting a revolver. And no, I am not going to get rid of my revolver, certainly not, because I carry one about half the time here on the farm anyway. But if you're a 1911 shooter, well, no, you're probably not going to go out and sell your 1911, so you can buy one of these Sigmas. But it would make a good addition to your handgun battery. Even if you have a 1911, a lot of you are going to like these guns. It takes a little getting used to, mainly with the trigger. But if they're all as functional as this, well, I think it's really going to be a winner. So whether you are a police officer, a security guard, or homeowner, this is one more excellent choice that you have among semi-automatic pistols. Hit it! All right, we'll edit this in. All right, one more little thing there. We'll edit this in at some point. 3, 2, 1. Now, friends, you may be wondering about recoil with the Sigma pistol here with the polymer frame, and it's going to be maybe a little bit different. I don't know if it's going to be more or not, maybe a little more than, say, the standard steel or even alloy frame Smith & Wesson 40 caliber, but it's not objectionable. If you've been used to shooting, oh, certainly anyone who's been shooting a .357 Magnum, this piece of cake, because if you've been shooting a 45 ACP, it's roughly comparable in recoil to the 45. The 40 is an extremely versatile cartridge. It has a somewhat unique pressure cycle. Edit. Oh heck, and we can edit. Let's come in the top of the cartridge part. Edit 3, 2, 1. The 40 is a very versatile cartridge. There are a lot of different bullet combinations out there for these guns, a number of different loadings from, shall we say, target velocities up to the tremendous carbine, which makes it into a super-powered gun of its type. But I don't think you're going to find recoil that objectionable. It has some, yes, but some of the recoil may be taken up by flex in the frame. I don't know, but it's not too bad. Okay. All right. Edit. 3, 2, 1. Friends, you know, on the program we look at all kinds of different guns, from shotguns, rifles, literally all kinds of handguns. But this is one that I think a lot of us have overlooked. This is a New England Firearms, a model, how about R73? It's in 32 H&R Magnum. Now this is a gun that is very common. It's not something that a lot of us tend to carry as enthusiasts, but edit, come back, 3, 2, 1. Well, friends, we're going to look at a gun today from New England Firearms. This is the model R73 in 32 H&R Magnum. Now this is a gun that is fairly common. A lot of people have these at home in dresser drawers. A lot of these are knockabout guns because they're not very expensive, but let me tell you what, I think that they may be somewhat underrated. I said they're very common. They're extremely strong. They're durable. In fact, I have very seldom ever seen one of the old H&R or New England Firearms, and let me say that now, New England Firearms is connected with H&R. In fact, I think they may be owned by the same company, and this looks very similar to what we've come or become used to with the standard old H&R, and I say old from back many years ago, with a design that they standardized, oh, who knows how long. It's been a long time. I know you see some old guns out there that look just like this, but this is an all-steel gun, and I tell you what, this is, it's not a bad package. It has a 2 or 2.5 inch barrel here, and the way it works, we'll take a look at that in a second. It has a 5-shot cylinder, a swing-out cylinder. You pull the front of the ejector plunger there, and it will release the cylinder from the gun. The cylinder turns to the right like a Colt and some others. It's very well made. It's very strong and solid, and I don't know, beauty's probably in the eye of the beholder. You do have a large, easy to get to hammer, and with that hammer we know this gun is unloaded, yes. And you trust me on this one, that the hammer fall on these guns, if there's any life at all in that primer, it's going to go. So the trigger is not too bad. It has the transfer bar safety, which you can load all 5 holes in the cylinder and carry it safely. I tell you what, it's really not a bad gun. I'm impressed. Now, I don't expect, we really haven't run a 25-yard bench rest group with this gun. This one retails for about $130 or so. But I tell you what, for what it is, I think this would be an excellent defensive gun for some of the ladies out there. You're going to have to be sure the trigger is somewhat more difficult to pull than say a gun of comparable size, say from Smith & Wesson or someone like that. But if you can pull that trigger, and this is in its own way a safety feature. If a little child got hold of this, they might not be able to pull that trigger, but if you're an adult that doesn't have arthritis or something, of course, even if you did have arthritis, you could thumb cock this thing, and then you have a fairly light let-off there in single action mode. So this is really a good option for a lot of people. Be an excellent gun if you're legal in where you live to carry a gun in your car or in your truck. This would be an excellent addition to your battery. The 32 H&R Magnum cartridge is not as well known personally as I think it should be. If you look in your picture, you have the 45 ACP on your left, the 32 H&R Magnum in the center, and the 38 Special on your right. And the 32 H&R Magnum has about an 85 or 90 grain bullet, and out of this little gun, of course, you can get some other bullet weights for it. This particular one is an 85 grain bullet, I believe, yes. That little 85 grain bullet exits the muzzle of this revolver just under 1,000 feet per second. Well, you know, that is excellent 380 type performance. And I tell you what, you're probably going to see more penetration than you would in a 380 or something along that. In certain loadings, in some guns, the 32 H&R Magnum is equal to some of the 38 Special loads. And personally, I think it's vastly overlooked by a lot of people. You know, you're going to have to realize when you have a smaller caliber gun, and let's go ahead and load it and take a shot. When you do have a smaller caliber gun, you have got to concentrate more on accuracy. In other words, to stop someone from whatever they're doing, if they're hurting you, attacking you, if they're attacking someone else, you've got to be able to hit a part that's going to hurt with the smaller caliber guns. You know, with the 45, with the best loadings, our Coban loadings, .357 Magnum, something like that, you're not going to have to be quite as accurate in some cases to make a person quit. And you know, we never talk about killing someone here on this program. We're not even concerned with that. We're concerned with learning to shoot our guns well and accurately, and what we're most concerned about is stopping an individual or an animal from doing what they're doing. If a dog had a small child that it was literally attacking, you're not concerned. You want to stop the dog from what it's doing. You want to stop it right then. If you're under attack, if a woman is in the middle of an attempted rape, hey, she's not concerned about killing that person. She's concerned about stopping the attack. And that's one of the great things about a handgun. You know, we sell pepper gas, and we have stun guns that we use sometimes here for demonstration purposes. The problem is the pepper gas has some limitations. The good news is you can carry pepper gas some places you can't carry a firearm. But the huge advantage to a firearm is you don't have to be within touching distance of someone. If they've got a knife, or they're much bigger or physically stronger than you, you don't have to be within their reach in order to defend yourself. That's really the best thing about a handgun is it can allow you to defend yourself from a distance. Now, we're not talking about 50 yards. If someone's 50 yards away from you with a knife, he's not a threat unless he's running at you and he's a lot faster than you. But we're talking about up close and personal defense, getting someone off of you, something like that. You don't have to worry about being within reach of that person, because you darn sure don't want to be wrestling with somebody if you're trying to shoot them, if at all possible. Another advantage a handgun has is in a scuffle, and why, if you don't think handguns are useful, well, why do police officers carry it? You know, answer that. Some of the anti-gun people out there say, well, the police carry guns, and the truth of the matter is the honest citizen is probably more likely to use a handgun in defense of his home or his life than the average police officer, because the citizen is going to be the one who's confronted. The average citizen uses their firearms many more times a year, most of the time without a shot being fired, to defend their homes or their lives, certainly with handguns. So anyway, the 32 H&R Magnum is an excellent cartridge. It is a tremendous small game cartridge, but you've got to be a little more accurate with it so you know that you're going to be able to do whatever needs to be done with it to stop whatever you're trying to stop. These guns, again, are not very expensive, but I tell you what, I think they're an excellent value for what they are. All right, friends, you can see the gun is nicely made. It has a matte finish. The cylinder is polished. We'll pull out on the ejector rod there, and we'll take our cylinder out. We'll load a couple of bullets in there. Okay, we'll line them up where they're sure to come up. And you can see we have pretty good sights. And these steel plates are about 9 inches in diameter. They're out there at about 20 yards. So let's take a shot with it. Edit. Can't see the... All right, edit. 3, 2, 1. All right, then, friends, let's take a shot with our New England Firearms 32 Magnum. Okay, that's about a 10-inch plate, 9-inch or so, at about 20 yards, so that's pretty good. Who knows? All right, edit. 3, 2, 1. You know, friends, one of the advantages the 32 H&R Magnum has, if someone is intimidated by recoil, if a 9mm or a 38 Special is too much for them, or maybe they can shoot a 22 long rifle or a 22 Magnum pretty well, the recoil is certainly something they can deal with. Well, the 32 H&R Magnum is an alternative to a smaller or larger caliber. You're going to have more power than the 22 long rifle or the 22 Magnum even, but you're not going to get as much recoil. And in fact, you're going to have approach a 38 Special with some of the better loads available for this gun, you're going to approach that 38 Special with a 32. And I can't stress enough, you've got to be able to hit your target. Now then, talking about defense, if you're up, say, this close to a target within arm's reach or so, and maybe someone was coming down at you with a knife or so, you'd have your gun and you need to practice shooting some from this position. You'd be in a defensive stand with your left hand if you're right-handed and shoot. You need to practice some one-handed. If you're a little further away and you have time, go ahead and weaver stance, shoot. But it depends on your situation. But you know what? That's a beauty part about a revolver. You don't necessarily have to have a locked wrist for the gun to function. Now then, go out to the range and you ought to go through some drills like this. You ought to go through some drills, maybe kneeling, and looking around a corner type thing and being able to shoot, because you trust me on this one. If you're in a situation where you're having to defend your life, every little bit of training you do will come in handy. It will help you, because you know when you go into overdrive, when you get that adrenaline pumping, you will typically go do what you have practiced or trained to do. A lot of people say, well, no, I can't shoot very good out here on the range, but well, if I ever had to, I know I could use my gun. Why? Who says? Why would they be able to in a tight if they can't out here relaxed? You know, so friends, what we have to do, if we're going to own and responsibly handle firearms, you've got to get out to that range and you have to practice. It has to be done. And of course, the good news is once you get out there, if you're new to shooting, you're going to find out, so hey, this is fun. Be sure and carry that hearing protection and that eyesight protection so you can really enjoy your day on the range.